Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece.
Growing up, I admired my grandma. She was a very kind person, a very understanding person, and she was someone you can really get along with. She was also a very good friend. She helped me with a lot of things, problems that I had, stuff that I thought were unsolvable, but she was able to manage to solve those problems. I didn't know that the facade that my grandmother was putting on was completely different from who she really is. And after experiencing and witnessing something I saw, I don't think I can ever look at my grandmother the same again. I have to sit back and ask myself, who really is she? I'm Spike, and this is my story of what I witnessed about my grandmother and how everything changed and how I viewed her differently after this. This happened in the summer of 2005. I was just 12 years old. My parents always dropped me off at my grandmother's place after school lets out for the summer, and I usually spend time at her place for most of the summer. She lives by herself, and unfortunately, my grandfather, my grandmother's husband, died about 3 years ago, so she lives a very lonely life, but she's always excited whenever I come over. It brings a smile on her face. That's what she always tells me. My grandmother lives out in the countryside, lots of land, a nice 2-story house, but it can be lonely for her sometimes. That's why I'm always glad to come over and to give her company and to keep her entertained for a while. The first few days I stayed at my grandmother's place, everything was great. I got up and helped her around the house with work. She made delicious breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I helped her do things that need to be done, and overall, we spent good quality time together. Sometimes I would go with her to the store to help her buy things that she needs and, just hang out with her. Everything was great until the 4th day I stayed. That's when things got really strange and weird. It was around midnight. I was up watching television, and as I was watching television, that's when I heard strange noises. It sounded like someone was dragging something. I thought maybe my grandmother needed help with something, so I went downstairs to see if she needed any help because I know she has a bad back. I made my way downstairs, and I stopped as I saw my grandmother coming from outside, dragging a long bag. I called out to her, "Oh, Grandma, let me help you with that. That seems heavy. I don't want you to injure your back." "Absolutely not," she scoffed it at me. I stood there for a moment because that's something that's really strange. My grandmother has never yelled at me like that before. She realized what she'd done, and then she looked at me and breathed in and out and said to me, "Oh, Spike, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you like that. I know you're trying to help out. You're a good kid, but I got this. Trust me. Let me take care of this. You just go back upstairs and go off to sleep, okay? I love you." I didn't argue with my grandmother. I'd done what she told me to do. I went upstairs and I got into my bed. But I stayed up for a couple of minutes because I was concerned about what was inside that black bag and why she yelled at me not to help her out. All that thinking started to make me feel sleepy, and I closed my eyes. I woke up the next morning to the smell of waffles. I put on my house shoes and I dashed downstairs to sit at the table. My grandmother made homemade waffles, and let me tell you, her homemade waffles were so good. It was something out of this world. She set down the plate, and then she told me, "So, Spike, after you get done eating your breakfast, I left you a list of chores to need done around the house. I gotta run somewhere. I'm not gonna be back for about a couple of hours. Can you handle these chores?" "Sure, I can take care of it. Don't even worry about it. You just take care of what you need to do, Grandma. I got this," I reassured her. "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You are really a good grandson. I'm so proud of you," my grandmother said to me as she grabbed the keys and went out the door. I saw her drove off, and after I got done eating, I started on the chores that my grandmother left for me to do. I took care of cleaning up the house, vacuuming, mopping, and as I was making my way down the basement, something was wrong. As I was making my way down our basement that was near our kitchen, I noticed there was a really strong smell. It was very unpleasant. It was a very nauseating, putrid smell. I tried my very best not to barf up the breakfast that I ate. I tried to open up the basement door, but it was locked. Now, right then and there, I should have just left it alone. But I decided to look for the key because I wanted to clean up the basement as well, especially since it had a horrible smell, and I didn't want that smell to linger into the kitchen where people ate their food at. So I looked around for a key to unlock the door of the basement, and I found it inside of the drawer in the kitchen. I grabbed it and I opened up the door. The moment I opened up the door, a smell of rotting, decaying meat and mold filled my lungs. The smell hit me like a wet towel to the face. It was horrifying. I tried to do everything I can in my power not to barf. I toughened up and I went down to the basement and I cut on the light. But the moment I did, there was blood everywhere. It was horrifying. Not only that, but in the corner of the basement, there was a black bag that had flies and magnets around it. I can feel my body shaking because I knew something was not right. My legs felt like jello, like it could snap like twigs. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. No matter how much I tried to stay calm, I couldn't. I walked slowly as my legs kept on wiggling. I got closer as that smell intensified 1,000 folds. I held my breath, and against my better judgment, I opened up the bag, and what I saw made me yell. Inside the bag was a dead woman, a human corpse, a human female corpse. I jumped back, and I turned around because I was going to run upstairs to call for help, but the minute I did, my grandmother was standing near the doorway of the exit of the basement, and she had this serious look to her face, a look I'd never seen her give me before. This didn't even feel real. This felt like I was in some horror movie or in some nightmare, a never-ending nightmare where I can't wake up. But then reality set in, and I snapped out of whatever shock I was in, and I turned towards my grandmother, and I asked her a question. Do you want me to help you dump the body somewhere, Grandma? Oh, Spike, look at you, wanting to help your grandmother. I know a perfect place. Help me grab the body. I'm gonna put it inside my trunk. I found the perfect place to dump this body at. After that, I helped my grandmother put the body inside her trunk, and then we headed off in her truck and drove to an isolated area where she already had a hole dug up. And me and her lifted the body up and put it inside that little hole, and we buried it. The truth is, the woman that my grandmother killed was a woman that my grandfather was having an affair with before he passed away. My grandmother found out about it, and let's just say she didn't take it too kindly. She wanted that woman to pay, and so she took matters into her own hands and took the life of that woman. There was no way in hell I was going to turn my grandmother in. I love her, and I'll do anything to see her happy, and I'll do anything to help her out. And so I helped her dispose of the body, and we never spoke about this again.
Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece. Peace, peace, peace.
This happened to me when I was a child. Until this day, I don't know what I heard was a human or something else entirely. This happened to me when I was about 12 years old. This was 10 years ago. In my little area, there's a countryside area, and there's a cave. I never went in that cave or nowhere near it, but I always wanted to go inside that cave and explore. So I decided to take my friend, Ricky, along with me. The day we went exploring in that cave, it was a very hot and sunny day. Of course, school was out, so we had no school, nothing to study. And my parents didn't mind me going out at all. They would rather me do that than to stay at home all day and play video games, so they had no problem. They just told me to be back by 7 o'clock p.m., and I figured that was nice. After that, I went to Ricky's house to pick him up. Then we rode our bikes to the cave. When we got to the cave, it was pretty dark, but we came prepared. Me and Ricky had a high beam flashlight. It was made to light up the darkest places, and we brought that with us, as long as some backup flashlights as well. When we got inside the cave, we walked in there. The cave felt a little bit humid and cold as well. We can even feel some wind coming out of the cave. But we kept on going. This is neat. The cave looks really nice. I always wanted to go inside here and see how it looks. It looks really beautiful, Ricky said to me. I replied to him by telling him, I know, this cave looks unreal. I wonder how far it goes. We kept going, and as we got further and further into the cave, we were really intrigued and excited about this new adventure that we embarked on. As we kept on going deeper into the cave, that excitement started to dwindle when me and Ricky noticed something. We noticed there was a backpack on the ground. It was a green backpack. It looked like a little kid backpack. Ricky picked up the backpack and looked at it. He opened it and there was some clothes in there. It was little boy clothes. We looked at each other, strange, trying to figure out what's going on here. Then I noticed something else. I looked behind Ricky and I saw it. There was a bunch of blood stains on the cave wall. But that's not what was more freakier. The more freakier thing was someone wrote in blood saying, "Go away. Don't come into this cave or else you'll never come out." When me and Ricky saw that, we were contemplating on running out of the cave. But then we heard a noise that really convinced us to get out of the cave fast. The noise that we heard was a yell. It sounded like it was coming from a grown man, but it sounded creepy. It sounded raspy to the point where we thought it might be a human being, but then another part of us thought it could have been something else. The yell stopped after that, and once we heard that yelling, me and Ricky took off. There was no way we were going to stay inside that cave and investigate. When we got out, Ricky asked me, "What was that? Was that a human being or an animal?" I don't know actually, but I think it's best if we don't go in that cave for a while. After that, me and Ricky never spoke about what we heard in that cave because we really couldn't tell if it was a human or something else. We stayed quiet. Eventually, several years had passed, and Ricky had moved out of the country, and I'm still here. Every time I walk past that cave, I get a spine-chilling goosebumps all over my body when I see it. It's a reminder of what we encountered or what we heard and possibly could have encountered had we stayed in that cave and kept on going forward.
Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece. Peace, peace, peace.
I woke up with my hands being cuffed to the bed. I looked around and the room was all white. Bright white light, a white bed, everything was white. I don't know what was going on. All I think I remember was I was sitting at a restaurant eating. I got up to go use the bathroom. Two guys came up behind me and I just blacked out. And then I woke up here. I kept looking around to see if there was any way that I can escape. But there was only a door and it didn't have a handle of some sort on it. I stayed chained up to the bed and I tried to see if I can loosen up the chain so I can get out of bed at least, but I couldn't. They were attached onto there strong and tight. I couldn't even move. I was about to give up when I heard the door opening, and it was 3 men in a suit. They had on animal masks. Then a woman who came in with a tight, skimpy dress and high heels on came rolling in some dishes, I guess of food. And then she opened it. It was spaghetti and meatballs. I didn't know what was going on. There was actually 7 plates of spaghetti and meatballs. And then one of the men looked at me and pulled out a gun and said, "Eat now." I didn't fight him on it. I grabbed a spoon and a fork and I began to dig in. I ate the first plate of spaghetti. Then after I got done, the man holding the gun to me asked me, "Now, how did that taste?" It tastes good." The man smirked a bit, and then he pointed the gun at me again and demanded me to eat the second bowl. When I ate that one, it tasted a little bit better than the first one. But I noticed when I ate both of the spaghettis, I noticed that the meatballs, something about the meatballs, it was grind up, but it tasted really well. It was well seasoned, and I liked how it tasted. I was really addicted to the meatballs. That's what made me really like the spaghetti. After I got done eating the second spaghetti bowl, the man looked at me and asked me, "How did you like this one?" "The spaghetti tastes good. But I do have a question though. Did you guys just kidnap me just to come over here and try out some of y'all spaghetti? Because if you had told me that, I would have willingly just came. Didn't have to tie me up and kidnap me and knock me out. I love spaghetti."
Shut up.
Come on. There's a reason why we tied you up. And the reason why you're trying these spaghettis and meatballs. Well, let's just say this. You played a very dangerous game on the deep dark web. And the gambling debt that you racked up was a whole lot. And you owe us money big time. And the only way we could get that money from you was we had to kidnap you. But of course you didn't have that. So in order for us to get our payment, we had to torture you to get our money's worth from you. And the way we done that is something we done. Something that we did with the meatballs. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you know where your wife and 3 kids are at? He asked me. I don't know. I'm assuming that they're safe. You say you were only coming after me, right? That's what you told me when the first day you kidnapped me. You told me that you were only going to come after me and not my wife and my kids. You said if I did some experiment, my debt would be paid off. Is that correct? I told him. The man laughed and shook his head. I only told my men to say that so you can cooperate with us and not do anything dumb or stupid. But the truth is, we killed your family. And then we took their flesh, their intestines, everything in their bodies, and we grind it up in the meat that you're eating. You're eating your family, your wife, and your 3 kids. You just ate them. They were inside that spaghetti. They were the meatballs that you consumed. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you the video of how we killed them and how we grind their bodies up in a meat grinder. Then the men pulled out a big screen, and then they showed the video of them executing my wife, my 8-year-old daughter, my 5-year-old son, and my 2-year-old daughter. And then with horror, I saw as they put my family one by one in the meat grinder. And then I saw how they stirred it in the spaghetti. I was so grossed out by it, I threw up. I was disgusted with them. And then I said to them, "What the hell? I thought we had a deal. Why would you go after my family like that? And why would you go after my kids? They're just kids. They didn't do anything wrong. If anything, the blame should have been on me. I can't believe you made me eat my kids. What is wrong with you? I'm not participating in this anymore. I'm disgusted. Oh my, I feel like I'm gonna throw up again." "You don't want to participate? Oh well then. Maybe we don't have any more use for you." The man grabbed the gun and pointed it at me. And after what I just discovered, what happened and what I've done, I didn't want to live anymore. I just put my head down and I accepted my death.